Good morning, everyone. We're going to start on Chaf Amud Aleph. Amar of Kahana. So if Kahana says, we're talking about whether back and forth motion is valid for Malika or not. Amar of Kahana, mitzvahs Malika kotzeitz v'yored. So if Kahana says that the mitzvah of Malika is that you have to go ahead and you have to pierce the flesh, and then you go straight down. So you basically go to the back of the animal, and you put your finger like that, and you go down, but you don't go back and forth. By shchita, you take a knife and you go back and forth. By malika, you just pierce the flesh and you go straight down, and then you break either its kaneh or veshet. You don't have to break both, we know, by a bird. You have to break either or. You break its kaneh or veshet. V'zohi mitzvasa. And this is the mitzvah. So the mitzvah again is to do malika, to go straight down, and to rip either its trachea or esophagus. Sav Rabbi Avin Lameimar. Rabbi Avin said, kotzeitz v'yoredin. If you pierce and go straight down, then it works. It's malika. Molech u'mevi lo. But if you move the nail back and forth, then it's not malika. So he wants to understand that Rav Kahana is saying that malika, the mitzvah's malika, is dafka kotzeitz v'yored, and that's what he says, v'zohi mitzvasa. You can only do it if you go straight, not if you go back and forth with your nail, similar to shchita. Amalei Rabbi Yirmiyah says, kol shekein demolech umevi b'malika kasher. No. What he means is that if it's going to be straight down, okay, for sure if you go back and forth, Chaf Amud Aleph, in the middle of the page. For sure if you go back and forth, because malika, he's arguing, is what? Malika is a form of shchita, and if by shchita you can go back and forth, so then all of the halachas by malika will be the same as they are by shchita, except when the Torah says otherwise. So the Torah says you have to use your fingernail. The Torah says you have to cut it from the back, not from the front. But otherwise, why would you think that just like you could do back and forth, or just like you're supposed to do back and forth by shchita, you could do it by malika as well. Umay, so then what does Rav Kahana see? One second, what does Rav Kahana mean when he says v'zuhi mitzvasa? This is the mitzvah. It sounds like he's saying the mitzvah is dafka to go like that, down. Says Gemara, ema av zuhi mitzvasa. So he says even this is the mitzvah. But if anything, it sounds like lechatchila, you should be going back and forth when you go ahead and you do malika. You should be doing holech v'yored when you're doing malika. But lemaisa af zu mitzvasa, you can also do it straight down. So that's what Rav Kahana is saying. Just a chazer for those that are late. Rav Kahana is saying that. We started on time, no? Rav Kahana is saying, don't eat so much food after the 7:30 minutes. So Rav Kahana is saying that you might have thought you go down, and then Lamaisa, you can only go down like this. Says Gemara, actually the best way is to go, and again, I don't know exactly how you do it, but you do malika with your fingernail, you go back and forth. And Lamaisa, if you go down, it's going to be kosher as well. Shlomi, what were you saying?
I was saying because you make it with malika. So Kal Chomer is, of course, if you're going side by side, you can even go, like you said, up.
So we're going to see. So let's see in terms of make. All right, that's a good point. So it says in Amar B'Yirmi Amar Shmuel, Kol HaKasher B'Shchita Kinegdo B'Oref Kasher B'Malika. Anything that is fit for shchita, opposite it in the oref will be kosher for malika. Now the oref, again, yesterday we said that mul orpo means the what? Means the back of the neck. Over here, the Mishnah is clearly using, the Gemara is using oref as the actual nape, the back of the neck, not the back of the head. We said back of the head is not going to be kosher. Back of the neck, which is the nape, will be kosher. So we're saying anything that's kosher in the front will be the opposite point in the back will be kosher for malika. What does that imply? That implies ha-pasul b'shchita, pasul b'malika. That whatever is pasul in the front will be pasul in the back. Limaute mai. So what exactly is this coming to exclude? What exactly will be pasul for malika? That's the Gemara's question. What case of malika are we trying to bring that Shmuel wants to say that it's going to be pasul for malika? Elima limaute ikar simanim. If you say that what? That by malika, if it has ikar simanim, which is torn pipes, so it's going to be a problem, just like by shchita, torn pipes is a problem. Vatani Rami bar Yecheskel ein ikar simanim ba'of. But we know that Rami bar Yecheskel says that there is no disqualification of ikar simanim ba'of. What exactly is this ikar simanim? So it sounds like one or both of the types of the pipes are torn from where they're attached to the jaw. So it's interesting. You know, on one hand, it doesn't make it a treifa, but shchita that's performed on a pipe that is not connected to the jaw will be invalid. It's called the disqualification of ikar. It's one of the 5 disqualifications that we had, along with drasa, chalad, etc. So Shmuel, that's by an animal. So Shmuel is telling us, according to this, Shmuel is teaching us that this disqualification applies to malika as well. And that what? And that if if the pipes are torn from their place where they're attached to the jaw, just like it's pasul b'shchita, it'll be pasul by malika as well. The Gemara says that can't be what Shmuel is telling us, because we know what? We know that ein ikar simanim be'of, that torn pipes is not a problem by animals. So what must Shmuel be telling us? Whatever is pasul by shchita will be pasul by malika as well, if it's not a matter of torn pipes, because again, torn pipes by an animal will be a problem. Torn pipes that are not connected to the jaw by a bird will not be a problem. So says the Gemara, what's it coming to exclude? What's going to be a problem by malika that's a problem by shchita? Amar of papa lema'ute rosho. It's coming to exclude its head, saying that the back of the head is invalid, just like the back of the head, just like the front of the head is going to be a problem. If you cut over here, it's going to be a problem in the front of the head. So too, the back of the head is going to be a problem. It needs to be the back of the neck. Rosho, you want me to tell me that Shmuel's coming to teach me that I can't shecht on the back of the head? Pshit, it's obvious. Mimul arpoa marachmana velo berosho. I can't shecht the back of the head. Of course I can't shecht the back of the head. So again, the question becomes, what is Shmuel coming to exclude? When Shmuel says that whatever is possible by shchita is possible by malika, what is he coming to teach us? We thought maybe he's coming to teach us that the ikar simanim, that if you go ahead and there's torn pipes, it's going to be a problem. We said it's not a problem by malika. So what's he coming to exclude? That you can't cut it in the back. Of course you can't cut the back of the head. We already know that. Says the Gemara, my rosho, no. It means what? Sheepoy rosho. The slope of the head. It means what? It's where the back of the head begins to slant to the slope. So you have the back of the head. Sorry, it's not helping you. But you have the back of the head, and then you have the back of the neck, and this slope area over here is going to be in between. What's the chiddush? The nape is the back of the head. Let's just say, for argument's sake, the nape is the top of the spinal cord, let's say. And then the back of the head is over here. So there's an area which slopes down between where you put your tefillin and between the nape. Hopefully you have that. Between where you put, between like the back of your head and the top of the... So it's still, well, the question is it your head or is it your neck? So Shmuel is coming to say, if you do malika there, it's going to be pasul. That's his chiddush. Just like if you do shchita there in the front, if you do shchita over here between the neck and between the head, it's going to be pasul. So as the Gemara, kagon denaka mishipa rosho. What is the case here? So like we said yesterday we went the other way, where we're starting in the right area and you're going slant up. So now what's happening? You're doing malika. You're starting in the top area outside of the zone. I don't know why I just thought of that. Outside the zone. Should have said that yesterday. Outside the zone. And you go down into the zone. So what happens? You might think that what if you start outside the zone but you end in the zone, it's going to be okay. Kamash Malan, Shmuel's telling me that unless you do the whole thing in the zone, it's going to be a problem. Who's that? Seemingly that's the Rabbanan, who said that the entire shechita needs to be in the zone. Or maybe it's even Rabbi Yossi, who says that 50%, that at the time that the animal is killed, at least rov has to be in the zone. Let's see. He says the Gemara, so you put your finger in, and you put it at the top of the slope, and then you basically cut at an angle until you go to tatoi, into the part that's actually in the zone. Kidrafuna maravasi, damarafuna maravasi, higrim shlish. If you cut a third outside, vishachat shnei shlish, and then you cut the remaining two inside, psula. Why? Because either, like we explained, the entire cut needs to be in the zone, or at least 50% at the time that you get to the time that you kill him, at least 50%. But if you do a third outside the zone on top, then by the time you get and you kill him when 50.1%, you've done more than half outside of the zone. And therefore, however we explained yesterday, in L'maisa it's going to be pasul. And that's Shmuel's chiddush. Is that of course you're supposed to do malika in the zone. But if you start outside the zone and you go in the zone, that's going to be pasul as well, which is the equivalent by shchita, that if you start outside the zone and you go in the zone, it's going to be pasul.
Please explain why this 2/3 is bad again.
This was yesterday.
Explain it, please.
It's a whole day yesterday, yeah.
No, like
so two things yesterday. Rabbanan either said that the entire shechita needs to be in the exact carriage, or according to Rabbi Yossi, we said rov of the shechita needs to be inside the carriage. So we said rov of the shechita could either mean, that means rov at the total 2/3 has to be. That means if you go out, in, out, most of it has to be inside the zone. Or we know that the animal dies when 50.1% of its trachea is gone. Right? 50.1% is gone. So if you do the first third outside the zone, that's 2/6.
17%.
That's 2/6.
17%.
2/6. 1/3 is 2/6. When you then do the next 1/6,
so 17%.
Now the animal is dead. One of the 6 was in the zone, 2/6 were out of the zone. At the time that it's dead, rov of it has been done outside.
33 versus 17, so you lose. Exactly.
Whatever 33 divided by 2 is. I take your word. Says the Gemara, 16 and a half. Shlomi, where were you yesterday, Shlomi? You can't just skip Sundays, you know. We need your Sundays too. Amalei Ravacha Breda Rav Ravashi. Ravacha, the son of Rava, said to Ravashi. So that's what he's saying. Psula, that even if you start out of the zone and you go into the zone, it's going to be a problem as well. That's Shmuel's chiddush. Shalom al Yisrael. It's glot. Amalei Ravacha Breda Rav Ravashi. Haditani Rami Bar Yecheskel. So let's go back to what Rami Bar Yecheskel said. Ein ikar simanim ba'of. That there's no torn pipes by an oaf. That's what we said. That according to him it doesn't apply. Now again, that can't be what Shmuel's coming to tell us, because We already know that. So ein ikar simanim ba'of. It can't be that Shmuel is telling us that ikar siman is going to be a problem by an oaf. We already know that it's not a problem. So torn pipes do not. That means that if the pipes are disconnected from the jaw, you could still shecht an animal. You could still shecht an oaf. So it says Gemara, what does this mean? Lo amar ela laman di amar ein shchita lo'of min haTorah. This is very interesting. He says that this is only according to the opinion who holds that shchita for an oaf is not min haTorah. Which means if shchita min ha'of was from the Torah, just like shchita min ha'behema, then just like shchita min ha'behema, if the pipes were dislodged, it would be a problem and you couldn't fix it. So too by oaf. But the fact that oaf is not min ha'Torah, oaf is only what? Midirabbanan. So since oaf is only midirabbanan, therefore you can say that the halachas of shchita are different than the halachas of shchita by bird. It's interesting. It's equating shchita and malika here. Because we're talking about malika, now we're talking about shchita of a bird all of a sudden. So we're saying that shchita and malika of a bird will be different in the sense that even though by an animal, if it's dislodged, ikar simanim, it's going to be a problem, since shchita of an oaf in general is only midrabanan, you don't have to worry about it, and therefore, even if it's dislodged, it won't be a problem. So that's what he's saying, that this leniency of ein ikar simanim ba'of is based on the fact that shchita of a bird is only midrabanan. Aval lamanda amar shchita lo'of min haTorah yesh ikar. But if you say that the requirement of shchita is midaraisa, and it's learned just like animals are learned, midaraisa, then just like by animals, ikar simanim is going to be a problem. So too, ikar simanim by birds are going to be a problem as well. That's one opinion.
But there's one distinction. By the animal, that's where you're going. By the bird, that's not where you're going. So it should be.
What do you mean? By both, you're going that way. You're going from the back. It doesn't matter. Either way, you're cutting the pipes, either from the back or from the front.
Oh, you're always cutting the pipes.
Yeah, you're cutting the pipes no matter what. By a bird, you have to cut 1 out of 2. Amar lei, ad Rabbi Evcha mistaber. Listen to this. So now he says, no, the opposite svara should be true. Again, that svara sounds pretty good to me. That since it's midrabanan, and therefore ikar simanim will not apply. Says the Gemara, top of chaf on the base, mistaber ad Rabbi mistaber. Laman damar yesh shchita lo'of min haTorah. No, if you say that shchita min ha'of is min haTorah, then it makes sense that you don't need ikar simanim. Why? Ikar lememar dahachi agmarei dein ikar. Very interesting. So what you can argue is that if HaKadosh Baruch Hu taught Moshe Rabbeinu that this needs shchita and that needs shchita, then that same HaKadosh Baruch Hu could have told him, this one needs shchita and ikar simanim will be a problem, and this one needs shchita and ikar simanim will not be a problem. And even if you learn that shchita for birds is not necessarily that God said this and this, but we learn it midaraisa from a limud, from a again, it's similar to saying halach l'moshe misinai, but it's from a limud. Nevertheless, we could say that we're learning in midaraisa. But again, l'maisa, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has a right to tell us that this should be and this shouldn't be. It's a hekesh, let's say. Says the Gemara, this is a fascinating argument. However, if you say that it's not min haTorah, ela midivrei sofrin, so now once mehechi gemirale, where are the sofrim learning it from? They're learning it from shchita. Mi behema kula milsa kebehema. Very interesting argument. So you go both ways. Obviously, once you see one way, you don't understand the other way. But one way is saying that if it's midaraisa, then for sure, if it was midaraisa, then ikar simanim would be a problem. But since it's midirabbanan, ikar simanim is not a problem. That's one argument. The opposite argument is that what? If it's midaraisa, then it's not a problem because then God tells us it's not a problem. But if it's midirabbanan and the whole thing of oaf is based on deraisa of a behema, then for sure it has to have the same halachas. So it goes both ways. Very interesting. Amar Avina.
That's like the whole Rabbanan thing where you say it's mekel, mekel, mekel. That's what turns it on its head.
Right. But again, the question becomes, is this true all the time according to this idea? Anytime we learn something from Deraisa, do we really take all of the chumras of the Deraisa as well? Somebody was saying like Chol HaMoed. So I thought maybe Chol HaMoed was a little different, but Lamaisa, it's interesting discussion. Amar Avina. Amar Li Ravin Bar Kisi. Haditani Rami Ber Yecheskel Ein Ikar Simanim Ba'of Lo Amran Ela B'Malika. So again, when we said Ein Ikar Simanim Ba'of, that doesn't matter by a bird, we thought that it meant what? When we brought it, we thought it meant Bein B'Malika, Bein B'Shchita. If it's separated, you could still do Malika, you could do Shchita no matter what. Now he's suggesting, Ravina's suggesting that this halacha of Ein Ikar Simanim Ba'of is only by Malika. Means you could still do malika if the pipes are disconnected. Ava b'shchita yeshiker. But by shchita you would say that yeshiker. Why? Because at the end of the day, if it's a problem for shchita of an animal, it's going to be a problem for shchita of a bird no matter where you learn birds from. That's the argument. But by malika, you have room to be makil by malika, and therefore say lemaisa, it won't be a problem. V'ha'amar Rabbi Yirmiyah Shmuel. The problem is, how can you say this? We know that we said kol hakosher b'shchita kinegdo ba'oref kosher b'malika. We just said whatever's kosher by malika, whatever's kosher by shchita is kosher b'malika, which implies ha pasel pasel. that whatever the halachas are by shchita will be the halachas by malika. We're not making any chilukim. This is this and this is this. So what are you going to tell me that, oh, so simanim is only going to be a problem that what? Ikar simanim will be a problem by by shchita, but not by malika. Why should it be different by malika? Says Gemara, hu pliga. This person who says that by malika it's not a problem and by shchita it is a problem, and that you can't do shchita if you have ikar simanim, he doesn't agree with that concept that whatever is by shchita is by malika as well. And therefore, Lamaisa, according to him, it comes out that by shchita, bain a bird, bain the animal, ikar simanin, if they're dislodged, it's going to be a problem. You can't shecht it. And according to this man, the Amar, that by malika, it could be different, and therefore, ikar simanin will not be a problem.
So shchita of a bird is allowed?
Well, 1 second. So yeah, so what we're talking about, the basic klal is that malika of a bird is only done for offerings, for korbanos. Shchita of a bird, when you eat a chicken today, you shecht the bird. You don't do malika.
It's just based on major stuff.
No, I'm saying this is for karbanos. This is kachin. Welcome to kachin. Yes, nice to meet you. Amar Zeiri says the Gemara.
It's not kachin.
The Gemara says Zeiri says Nishbra mafrekes. I got a flight to catch. 1 second. Amar Zeiri Nishbra mafrekes v'rov basar ima nevela. If an animal's neck is broken together with most of the flesh, that means usually when you do malika, as we'll see, what do? You go into the back of the animal, you break most of the flesh, you break the neck, and only then do you get to the simanim. Remember we spoke about yesterday, maybe pulling the simanim on top and doing it before, and then you can't break the animal's neck. But if you got to do it, if God says you got to do malika, so then you got to break the animal's neck in the process. So the Gemara says, Amar Ziri, Nishbra mafrekes v'rov basar ima nevela. That in general, forget about malika, in general when you break the neck of an animal, together with most of its flesh, it becomes a nevela. Now, what's interesting about this? What's interesting now, we know that there are two things. There's a treifa and there's a nevela. Treifa is not going to live for a year. Nevela is something that dies on its own. What's the difference in halacha between them? You can't eat either one of them. The difference is that a treifa, tuma. Nevela will not, nevela will be metame. If it dies, it'll be metame if you touch it or carry it. A treifa that's shechted, even though you can't eat it, does not become metame. Once it's shechted, it's pasul. I guess it would be similar to non-kosher food, right? If you take non-kosher food and you shecht it wrong, so it doesn't necessarily, I don't know, okay, interesting. But if you shecht a treifa, you can eat it, but it's not metame. If you shecht a nevela, right, if you shecht a non-treifa, or if you make it a nevela, then, right, if you have something that's a nevela, so then I might say if you shecht it, as we'll see in a second, if something's already like half dead and you shecht it, you're not going to be able to save it. So once you break the neck bone with most of the flesh, it's a nevela. And even though it's quote-unquote still living, it's still going around, running around a little bit, if you then shecht it with a kosher shchita, you cannot remove it from the state of nevela. It's not the equivalent of a treifa, which you then shecht, which is not going to be metame. If you have that, once you break its neck and most of its flesh, halachically, as we were discussing yesterday, even though it's alive scientifically, halachically we consider it to be dead and to be a nevela. And even if you then shecht it, it'll still be considered to be a nevela, it'll still be tameh, and it'll still be metame. That's what Zeiri is saying, okay? So once the neck bone is broken with most of the flesh upon it, it becomes, again, even though it's still moving a little bit, it's legally dead or halachically dead, and therefore it's a nevela, even if you then go ahead and you shecht it. Amar Rav Chisda, afan ani tanina. When we have afan ani tamina, it could be one of two things. It could either be a support, or as we'll see here, it could be like, why are you teaching me this? I already know this. Afan ani tanina, malak bisakin. If I do malika with a knife, usually malika is with your fingernails. So let's say you're taking a korban, which you're supposed to be doing malika on, and you do it with a knife. Metame begadim abeis habliya. So the bird that you moleked will contaminate the clothing from a person who's eating them. Now, the reason that it's only through swallowing is because we know that even though in general, tameh animals, you become tameh if you go ahead and you carry them or you touch them. It happens to be the halacha is that by a kosher bird is only metame, a kosher bird which is a nevela of a kosher bird is only metame if you swallow it. So you have this kosher bird which you were going to go ahead and you were going to do malika on, and you end up shechting it through the back. So you shecht it instead of doing malika. So what happens? If you now swallow that, you become contaminated. So again, a Kohen took a bird that was supposed to have malika on it, and instead of using his fingernail, he went ahead and he used a knife. So he did shchita instead of malika. So that bird now, if you take it, what happens to it? And you swallow it, you become tameh, because it's an avela. Now what do we see from here? V'iyamar treifa havya. So what really happened? When you did the shchita over here, what did you do? You cut the back. What happened? You cut the back. When you cut the back, you broke the neck, and you broke what? And you broke most of the flesh. And now you continue with the knife and you cut the pipes. What does that show you? that even though you then end up cutting the pipes, once you broke the neck and most of the flesh, it's a nevela. Once you then do the shchita, you don't fix anything and it's still a nevela and it's matame. So what do I need you to tell me that? We have a clear Mishnah that teaches me exactly what Ziri just told me. The equivalent of doing malika and breaking the neck and most of the flesh and then shechting it from the front, let's say, the equivalent in this Mishnah, which is exactly the same halacha, is you took a knife, you cut it from the back, you cut the neck, you cut most of the flesh, you then shechted it. The chiddush of that Mishnah is that it's still not considered to be a real shchita. You didn't fix it. As soon as you shechted from the back, the neck, and most of the flesh, you made it into an avela. That's exactly what Ziri says. Ziri said it from the front, he said it from the back. It's the same halacha. What do you need Ziri for? V'yamar treifa havya, if you would say that an animal whose neck bone was broken together with most of the flesh is only a treifa, milikasa zuhi shchitasa, then the malika here is the shchita, utahani lasakin latara midei nevela. Then according to you, again, if Ziri was wrong, basically the Gemara is saying we don't need Ziri. Because if Ziri was wrong, or if we needed Ziri, because Ziri was arguing, then the halacha here would have been that if you shech from the back, and then you continue the shechita, it's not an avela. But clearly it is an avela, because exactly that what? A slaughtered bird contaminates as an avela. Because once a knife severs the neck, and most of the flesh, lemaisa what? Lemaisa, it's now, quote-unquote, halachically an avela, and even if you now continue the shechita, lemaisa, it's not going to help. So what do I need Ziri for? That's the Gemara's basic question. Says the Gemara, Amri, you need Ziri because Hasa Mishum Delav Shchita Hiklau. You might think that over there, the reason it's an avela is because malika, even with a knife, is not considered to be shchita. I mean, Ziri is teaching me that what? For sure, that Mishnah says that, again, if you take a knife and you go through the back, so what happens if you take a knife and you go through the back? So you might think that what? In general, if you break the neck bone and most of, let's say you would have just had that Mishnah without Ziri. So you would think, well, if in general, if you break a neck bone and most of the flesh, it's only a treifa. Over there in that Mishnah, it's going to be considered an avela because shchita from the back is not shchita. So that animal never really had shchita done to it. So it had a broken neck, most of the flesh, and then there was never shchita done because you went from the back. Therefore, of course, it's going to be an avela. Comes along Ziri and says that what? Even if you do a real shchita, even if the neck is broken and most of the flesh is removed, and then you do a real shchita from the front, it still doesn't save it from being an avela. It's still going to be an avela, and that's his chiddush. If you just had that Mishnah, you would think, well, of course it's going to stay in avela because you ended up doing shchita from the back. It's not a shchita. But had you done shchita from the front, even after its neck and most of its flesh was gone, it would have been a good shchita to get it out of the parsha of nevela. Comes along Ziri and says, Kamash Malan, it's not a good shchita. Even if you then do shchita from the front, once you break the neck and most of its flesh, it's not going to be a good shchita. Says the Gemara, my taima. So why exactly, if you do shchita in the back, why malika with a knife? Why would you say that it's not shchita? Means you need the chiddush because in that Mishnah you would have said that a knife from the back is not real shchita. Why would you think that malika that's done with a knife is not even considered to be shchita? My time, Rav Huna Amar mipnei shehu machlid. Because if you go ahead and you use a knife in the back, it can't be shchita because you have the problem of chalada. We said that chalada is one of the 5 things that invalidate shchita, borrowing. And if you make a cut from the back of the neck with a knife, so what are you going to hit? You're going to hit the neck bone. You're going to cut the neck bone. And it's going to remain in place as he explains over here. And in Maisa, you're going to end up borrowing it. B-U-R-R-O-W-I-N-G. Again, you're going to end up somewhere between the kana and the veshet. So if you go from the front, you won't have chalada. If you use a knife through the back, you're going to have the problem of chalada, so we can't consider it to be shchita. Rav Amar, why can't we consider it from the back being shchita? Again, this is not a... Nobody's saying you can do shchita from the back. It's like asking why is it not considered. Why can't you do shchita from the back? So the reason, that's basically what we're saying here. Forget about this case. It's like, why can't you do shchita in the back? Because you have the problem of chalada, where you're going to go ahead and you're going to end up, again, poking the knife in between the neck bone and then in between the kashet, the veshet and the kana. Rav Amar, why can't you do shchita from the back? Because you end up doing drisa. You have to press. Because of the neck bone, you end up having to press the knife downward and you can't go back and forth. Says the Gemara, the one who says that the reason that shchita from the back is bad is because you borrow my time. Why doesn't he say, no, you can't do shchita on the back because you press down? Because he holds, who said you have to press down? Even by malika, you could theoretically go back and forth like we said there's an opinion. Therefore what? It could be referring to malika that was done with a knife from the back and forth. The only reason, therefore, you can use a knife in the back is because what? You're going to end up with this problem of chalada. You're going to end up with this problem of borrowing. Uman de amar neshu doris, the one who says it's a problem to use shchita in the back because what? You're going to end up pressing down. My time alo amar neshu machlid. Why did he say it's not? Why doesn't he say it's a problem because you're borrowing? Amar la chalada hechidami. What's considered to be borrowing where it's going to be a problem? Chalada. Bechul da Where's this problem where you end up with the knife in between the kesha, the veshet and the kana? That's when it's like a chulda, a weasel. The knife is hiding like a weasel. When you go from the front, the knife ends up disappearing. You can't see it. That's a problem of chulda. When you go from the back, again, I don't understand the exact mitzias, but when you cut from the back of the neck, even though the neck doesn't necessarily split, the knife can be seen the entire time. If the knife can be seen the entire time, it's not a problem. Either way, you cannot cut shchita from the back. It's either going to be a problem of chalada or it's going to be a problem of drisa. Amar Rava, finally, ikashali hakashali. So again, we don't have a problem with zeiri. We've explained why we need zeiri. We need zeiri because, again, if we didn't have zeiri, then you would think that it's only a problem where you cut the neck and most of the flesh from the back and then you do shchita from the back. That's where it'll remain in nevela. But if you cut the neck and most of the flesh and then you do shchita from the front, it will not be nevela. Says zeiri, it'll be nevela even if you then do the shchita from the front. Amar Rava, I have another problem with zeiri's ruling. What's the problem? Ikashali hakashali. Shall I tell you what the problem is? V'chimesa omedu molek. Fascinating. What does he say? Basically, what's happening according to zeiri, if you hold, like this opinion, that once you cut the neck and most of the flesh, the animal is what halachically to be considered dead, then how do you ever do malika? Every time you do malika, you stick your finger in, you rip the neck, you rip all of the flesh. At the time that you separate and sever the simanim, or at least one of the simanim, it's already in nevela. It's already dead. How can you ever go ahead and do malika? Says the Gemara, what's the point of even doing malika? Like any good Jew, what does he do? He doesn't answer the question. He asks him a question. He says, and according to you, it's any better? According to you, what's going to happen? A bird ola, we know, is different than any other bird. We said by a bird, you only have to cut one siman. By a bird ola, you have to cut both simanim. So what happens after you cut the first siman of a bird? It's dead. So what are you accomplishing by cutting the second siman of a bird? Once you cut the first siman of a bird, it's dead. So the same thing, you're telling me, well, what's the point of doing malika? So according to you, what's the point of cutting the second siman by a bird ola? Bird only needs one. By an ola, you need to do both. So he's saying, why by an ola did the Torah say you need to do both? What's the point of doing both? By the time you cut the second one, the first one's already dead. Is there any purpose of going ahead and cutting the second pipe? So don't ask me how can I do malika? Why by you? Do I have to cut both pipes by a bird? Says the Gemara, I agree. When you cut the second pipe, it's already dead. But we have a special mitzvah that besides for malika, by the bird ola, you need to do havdalah. Literally havdalah here. Not just separate the weekday and the chol, the weekday and Shabbos. You need to literally separate the head from the body. So the malika is done. But now, Lamaisa, why do you have to cut? You cut one, you're done. Why do you have to cut the second one? You cut the second one to do a total havdalah. So that's why you need to decapitate it. That's why you need to do the second one. But by you, according to you, Zeiri, why are you ever doing malika? That's not a problem that I make you decapitated. That's a separate mitzvah. But by you, Lamaisa, we're still stuck by any bird that you do malika on. From the time that you do the neck and the flesh, it's already dead. What are you accomplishing? Ihachi or nami. So before he answers this question, he says, okay. But furthermore, if you have to do havdalah by an oath, well, then why are you only stopping at cutting the two pipes? You should have to rip all the skin separate as well, literally decapitate it, pull the entire head off. Says the Gemara, because whatever is essential by shchita is ma'akev by havdalah. Whatever is not essential for havdalah. So even though by shchita it's essential to do what? To cut both pipes. Therefore you have to cut both pipes in order to have havdalah. But nobody says by shchita you have to cut off the skin. Says the Gemara, v'hamiyut simanim l'Rabbanan. Yeah, but the problem is that according to Rabbanan, you only have to cut rove of the pipes by an animal. So now you're telling me I have to do whatever I do by shchita, I have to do by havdalah. So then why by shchita, when I have to cut rove of the pipes, why by havdalah you're making me cut all the pipes? Let me cut only rove of the pipes. No, by havdalah, we're saying you have to cut both, the entire pipes of both of the things of the bird. But if you're comparing it to shchita, whatever is essential by shchita is essential by havdalah, then just like by shchita, you have to just cut rove. Why don't we require you to only cut rove by the bird as well? You're right, it's not whatever is ma'akev. Whatever you have by shchita, you have by havdalah. Whatever you don't have by shchita, you don't have by havdalah. Therefore, just like by shchita, you have to cut, even though it's rove, you have to cut the pipes but not the skin. So too, by havdalah, you have to cut the pipes and not the skin. Says the Gemara, though, we're going to have to get to tomorrow, so we still haven't answered for Zeiri. How do we work out according to Zeiri? When you have malika, how do you end up? Lamaisa, you're killing a dead bird. Shkoyach, everyone.
So it's not